You guys, it's Mrs. Palmer. Thank you so much for being here today. If you are in this room watching this video, that means that you are all caught up with your order of operations quiz, your evaluating expressions quiz, and your translating verbal expressions quiz. Okay, so if you've got all three of those things done, you're in the right place. And we are going to move on today with the lesson on simplifying expressions. So with that said, if you're not in the right place, so if you don't have those other three things done, please move yourself back to the main room and I will redirect you to where you need to go, okay? So today's lesson is on simplifying an algebraic expression. The first thing that we're going to talk about really quickly is some new vocabulary. I think one of the things that is the most confusing about math is the vocabulary. So the first word that you need to know is like terms. Okay, like terms are terms that have the same variables raised to the same powers. For example, 5x and 4x. These would be like terms because they both have an x raised to the first power. Or 7x squared and 8x squared. These are like terms because they both have an x raised to the second power. Let's say we have a negative 2x and a 4x squared. These would not be like terms because this one has an x, this one has an x to the second power. Okay, so we would not consider those like terms. If I give you 5x squared y and 7xy squared, these are also not like terms because this one has an x to the second and this one has just an x. Okay, this one has just a y and this one has a y to the second. So although they both have an x and a y, the variables and the powers have to be exactly the same. So if I give you 7x squared y to the fourth and negative 8 x squared y to the fourth. These are like terms because they both have the same variables raised to the exact same powers. Okay, so in math, if terms are like terms, when you simplify an expression, you can combine those like terms. Okay, so the way that you combine like terms is, let's say you have a 4x plus 5x, and I ask you to simplify this expression. Okay, we know that these two terms are like terms because they both have an x. In order to combine them, all we do is combine the coefficients, and then the variables stay the same. So 4x plus 5x would be 9x. Or let's say you have negative 3x squared plus 5x squared. If I ask you to simplify this, these are like terms. They both have an x to the second power. So we would just combine the coefficients, negative 3 plus 5, which would be 2x squared. Okay, notice that it's not 2x to the fourth. The variables and their power stay exactly the same. Okay, so it'd be 2x squared. Okay, the last thing that we need to talk about is the distributive property. And the distributive property says that if you have a term in front of a parentheses, you have to multiply all of the terms inside the parenthesis by what's out front. So in math, if there is a number right next to a parenthesis, that's implied multiplication. Okay, so this 4 has to get multiplied by both the x and the 4. That's called using the distributive property. So 4 times x would be 4x. 4 times 4 is 16. Or let's say you have 3 times 2x squared plus 6. We know that this 3 is right next to a parenthesis. So both of the terms inside the parenthesis have to get multiplied by what's out front. So 3 times 2x squared would be 6x squared. 3 times 6 is 18. Okay, so these are the three things that we are going to work on today. We're going to work on identifying like terms. We're going to work on combining like terms. And then also as we simplify our expressions, we may need to use the distributive property. So let's just go ahead and quickly do a few of these problems right now. So question number 1, we're simplifying these expressions. So question number 1, 5x plus 3x. So to simplify an expression, you combine like terms. We know that these two are like terms. They both have an x to the first power. So to combine them, we add the coefficients. 5 plus 3 is 8x. Okay, let's try another one. 3y, and there's a minus sign in front of this 10y. So when you're simplifying expressions, make sure that whatever sign is in front of the term, that you use that sign. If there's a minus sign in front of a term, it actually makes that term negative. So we would say this is 3y, and we're combining it with a negative 10y. So we add the coefficients. 3 plus negative 10 is negative 7y. Okay, let's look at number 3. To combine like terms here, we know that we can combine 2x and 7x. Those are like terms. That would be 9x. And then we have two constants here, 6 and a negative 11. So when we combine those, we get negative 5. So 9x minus 5. When we simplify 2x plus 6 plus 7x minus 11, it becomes 9x minus 5. Let's look at another one. Number 4. 5mn plus 2m minus 3n plus 4mn minus 6m plus 4n. So let's combine our like terms here. We know that 5mn and 4mn, those are like terms. That would be 9mn. We have a 2m and we have a negative 6m. Remember that you have to take the sign that's in front of it. So 2m and negative 6 would be negative 4m. And then we have negative 3n and positive 4n, which is positive 1n. Okay, number 5, 4x squared plus 2x plus 6x squared minus 4x. So when we simplify this expression by combining like terms, we combine 4x squared and 6x squared, and that's going to be 10x squared. And then we combine 2x and a negative 4x, which is negative 2x. And then number 6, 3mn minus 2n squared plus 4m minus 8mn minus 7m. So we can combine 3mn with a negative 8mn, and that would be negative 5mn. If you need to use your calculator here when you're combining, feel free to do that, okay? Negative 2n squared, there's no other like terms with that. And then 4m and a negative 7m is a negative 3m. Okay, so let's look at some more questions here. I want to go to number 10 and number 11 first. Okay, so with number 10, you can see that there's a 5 right next to a parenthesis. So that 5 gets distributed to both of the terms inside the parenthesis. 5 times 6y is 30y. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. For number 11, 3 times 2z is negative 6z, and 3 times, this is a minus 4, right? It's a negative 4. So negative 3 times negative 4 is a positive 12. Okay. When we look at number 8, can you guys see that we have a minus sign in front of this parenthesis? So if you have a minus sign in front of a parenthesis, it has to get distributed to all of the terms inside the parenthesis because we're really minusing this, and we're minusing this, and we're minusing this, okay? So we distribute it just like as if it were a negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 3xy is a positive 3xy. Negative 1 times 4x is a negative 4x. And negative 1 times negative 7y is a positive 7y. So just remember, if you have a minus sign in front of a parenthesis, it's basically going to change all of the signs inside of the terms inside the parenthesis. Okay, and now we can combine. 2xy can combine with 3xy, and that would be 5xy. The variables just stay exactly the same. 6x can combine with negative 4x, and that would be 2x. Negative 2y can combine with 7y, and that would be positive 5y. Okay. Number 9, let's go ahead and do number 9. I'm going to rewrite it up here though. So 7a plus 3b minus 2 minus, so this minus, and then we have a 4a minus 7b minus 5. Oh no, I ran out of room. And then minus a plus b plus 1. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is distribute this minus sign to each of these terms, and this minus sign to each of these terms. Okay, so let's do that first. So this becomes negative 4a, positive 7b, plus 5. Okay, so if there's a minus sign in front, basically it's going to change all of the signs of the terms inside the parenthesis to the opposite sign. And then we have negative 1 times a, which will be negative a, negative b, and then negative 1. Okay. And then we also have our 7a plus 3b minus 2. And now we can simplify. So 7a combines with negative 4a and a negative 1a. So 7 and negative 4 is 3. 3 minus 1 is 2a. Okay, then we have a 3b and a 7b and a negative 1b. So 3b and 7b is 10b minus 1b is 9b. And then we have a negative 2 and a plus 5 and a negative 1. So that would be 2. Okay, I'm sorry, we kind of ran out of space there. Okay, so let's go ahead and just do a couple more of these, and then I think you guys are ready to come meet me in the independent practice room, and I'm going to have you guys try some of these on your own. Okay, so let's do this one and this one. I'm going to do those right now, and then I'm going to have you come meet me for some more practice where you actually try some on your own. Okay, so we have a 2 in front of a parenthesis with 2 terms, and we have a 3 in front of a parenthesis with 2 terms. So our first step in simplifying is to distribute. So here we go. 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, plus 3 times 4x is 12x. 3 times 6 is 18. And then we have minus 5x plus 3. Now we can combine 4x with 12x with negative 5x. So 4 plus 12 is 16 minus 5 is 11. And remember, if you need to use a calculator when you're combining, please do that, okay? Then we have a negative 4 and an 18 and a 3. So that would be 14 plus 3 is 17, okay? Then let's go ahead and do number 14 together. We need to distribute the 7. We need to also distribute the negative 3, okay, because there's a minus sign in front of it. It makes it negative. So we have 5x, and then we have 7 times negative 2, which is negative 14x, 7 times 1, which is plus 7, negative 3 times 3x, which is negative 9x, negative 3 times 4, which is negative 12, plus 6x minus 15. Okay, now we can combine like terms. 5 and negative 14 and negative 9 and 6. So 5 plus negative 14 is negative 9. Negative 9 plus negative 9 is negative 18. Negative 18 plus 6 is negative 12. Okay, so we just took care of all of these. And now 7 plus negative 12 plus negative 15. So 7 plus negative 12 is negative 5. Negative 5 plus negative 15 is negative 20. Okay, so go ahead and meet me in the breakout room, the independent practice room. I'm going to give you some of these to try on your own, and then we'll go over them before you take your quiz. See you in a minute.